Thank you, Chairman Whitehead, and good morning, members of the Idaho Transportation Board. President Trump signed the Omnibus Appropriations Bill on March 23rd. The bill maintains all 2018 FAST Act commitments for the Highway Trust Fund and provides an estimated $8.5 billion in additional national funding for federal aid programs, transit, including capital investment grants, airport improvement discretionary grants, and Tiger grants, which were increased by $500 million over last year's level with some changes. Planning and design costs for Tiger grants are now eligible for federal funding, and rural area set-asides were increased from 20% to 30%. The bill extended the Secure Rural Schools program to fund roads and bridges in local highway jurisdictions, and extended Federal Aviation Administration programs for 6 months, funding them until September 30th. The bill includes a permanent electronic logging device waiver for transporting livestock and bees via truck. It allows larger, heavier trucks up to 99,000 pounds to operate on interstate highways in New Hampshire and up to 129,000 pounds in North Dakota. The bill also provides $225 million for a new discretionary grant program for bridges in states that have less than 100 people per square mile. Idaho has only 19 people per square mile, so we are well under the 100-person threshold. Projects applying for these bridge grants must focus on cost savings achieved by bundling multiple projects. Final distributions may vary, but early estimates show Idaho may receive an additional $14 million per year in highway formula funding through 2021. We are still assessing the bill's full impact on Idaho, and we will provide the board with an updated funding report once the details are known. The additional revenue will help fund projects across the state, and our district crews will make those investments count. One of the reasons our crews do such great work in the districts is because they are true members of their communities. They care about the quality of work they do because they live there, and many of them serve their local area in more ways than one. District 4 is lucky to have such dedicated and talented employees working for them and for their community. A little further west, in District 3, crews have started to pilot a program for a new kind of traffic signal. The goal is to make U-turns safer at the intersection of Eagle and Ustick roads. The intersection has a new LED sign that displays a no right turn message for drivers on Ustick Road. They light up only when vehicles on Eagle Road have a green left arrow, which allows them to make a U-turn. The lighted signs are intended to prevent drivers from trying to make right turns and crashing into vehicles making U-turns on Eagle Road. The pilot program is a partnership between ITD and the Ada County Highway District, and if it proves successful, similar signs will be installed all along the Eagle Road corridor. Trying new ideas and technology is part of ITD's innovative culture, and we measure that culture every 2 years to make sure the department is continuing to become more constructive as an organization. The 2018 Culture Survey is underway right now. It has 3 parts, and the first 2 have already been completed. 84% of ITD employees participated, giving us a lot of great information to work with. The first 2 parts of the survey measured ITD's current culture, working behaviors, employee satisfaction, and teamwork. The third part of the 2018 survey began on March 5th and will be finished up on April 13th. It is called the Ideal Survey because it compares ITD's current work environment with the environment employees consider to be ideal. DMV Administrator Alberto Gonzalez was interviewed about ITD's cultural improvements in the March issue of Move magazine, a national publication by the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, also known as AMVA. Alberto said, and I quote, "We made the decision at the executive level to actively create a culture that most of our employees would hope that we would have. Ultimately, I believe nothing is done unless workplace culture is sound. If we do not invest in culture, we have a stale workforce, poor retention, and a lack of innovative ideas. Culture has to be a primary part of what you do." End quote. The 2018 survey data will show us what is working at ITD and what is not working. It will show us where we are making steady progress and the areas where we still need to improve. When the third part of the survey is complete, ITD employee champion Robin O'Neill will provide a report to executive and senior management. This report will help form ITD's long-term cultural strategies and direction. Robin will also create presentations for each of ITD's core business areas and work with them to develop the strategic direction and actions they need to move forward. She will also help the districts continue developing their constructive cultures. Cultural improvement is only one part of our ongoing strategy to improve ITD's operations. In early March, the senior leadership team toured a company called In the Ditch. They are a towing products manufacturer based in Mountain Home and have an excellent lean program that we wanted to learn from. In the Ditch uses lean techniques to make continuous improvements to their manufacturing process. In most cases, these are employee-driven ideas. Their innovations save time and money and have created a culture where employees feel supported and empowered to do their jobs better. The senior leadership team is the fifth group from ITD to tour their manufacturing plant. In the Ditch heavily promotes their lean culture across the country, and they produced the following video about our visit.
Charlene? That's me. Right. Chris? Right here. Please. David?
I think it's pretty fabulous. We as an organization are trying to get leaner and really empower our employees to make the decisions that make us better. And to see it here in a place like Mountain Home put to work, and employees that are really bought in, that trust each other, that trust the process, and you guys get better and better every single day.
Last week, ITD hosted the 2018 Idaho Freight Summit at the Riverside Hotel in Boise. The theme for this year's summit was Building Idaho's Economy. Some of the topics included long-range transportation plan, legislative activities, research programs, 129,000-pound trucking, and emerging technologies. Here's a message from Jeff Marker, ITD's Freight Program Manager.
The Freight Summit was designed to be an open dialogue between freight industry representatives and stakeholders from throughout Idaho. We're able to discuss the status of freight, not only within the state, but within the greater Northwest. This will allow us to better shape our freight program in the future and to determine how to spend the freight formula funds we receive from the federal government each year. Ultimately, our objective is to improve safety and mobility, not only for freight, but for the general traveling public, and to increase the economic benefit to local communities and the state as a whole.
The summit allowed stakeholders to share their ideas on how best to improve Idaho's freight program and increase safety and economic opportunity around the state. I think you might have even recognized one of the speakers on stage, Jerry Whitehead. The Freight Summit was well attended. It provided many ideas on how we can continue to improve freight movement in Idaho and expand our economy. On January 2nd, Governor Otter signed an executive order requiring the formation of an Idaho Autonomous and Connected Vehicle Testing and Deployment Committee. We have sent nominations for 20 committee positions to the governor's office for approval. The nominees are made up of state agency directors or their representatives, legal counsel, Idaho legislators, law enforcement personnel, local highway district representatives, and representatives from the AAA and the automobile manufacturing industry. I am the committee chairman, and we are planning to hold our first meeting in May. The governor's executive order establishes the committee's mission, which is to, and I am paraphrasing here, 1. Identify all Idaho agencies with the jurisdiction to support the testing and deployment of autonomous and connected vehicles. 2. Coordinate with agencies to administer vehicle testing on roads and address issues such as licensing, registration, insurance, traffic regulations, and the legal responsibilities and liabilities of vehicle owners. 3. Review existing state laws and rules to identify impediments to the testing and deployment of autonomous and connected vehicles on Idaho roads. And 4. Identify strategic partnerships to leverage the social, economic, and environmental benefits of autonomous and connected vehicles. The committee is required to provide a full report to the governor's office by November 1st of this year. We have also formed a technical advisory group to help our committee in more detailed areas, such as safety, liability, and cybersecurity. My next topic involves the Division of Motor Vehicles. The Star Card rollout is proceeding on schedule. About half of those who are getting a new driver's license are choosing to get a Star Card, but there is one small hiccup. County DMV offices noticed that customers wanting to replace their driver licenses with Star Cards were not always arriving fully prepared. Many of them had to return to the county office one or more times to provide the correct documents. Our DMV staff came up with a simple yet effective solution to the problem. Beginning this month, rather than receiving a standard renewal letter, Idahoans whose licenses are about to expire will receive a postcard directing them to the Star Card website. It provides a list of the documents they need to bring when applying for a card. Since the beginning of the year, we have issued more than 10,000 cards. We are currently mailing 1,100 to 1,300 license renewal notices per month. Helping our customers be better prepared will reduce transactions and wait times, and reduce the need for them to make return trips to the county offices. In District 5, crews are testing a new type of pavement marking. They are installing solar-powered marker lights in the pavement of US 30 and Pocatello. The lights are located along raised curb islands to make them more visible to drivers at night. The first set of lights were installed on US 30 from Gould Street to Pole Line Road in February. The next set of lights will be installed from Pole Line Road to Cedar Street. The district selected these locations because of a lack of streetlights in the area. ITD purchased 600 of the solar-powered markers and distributed 100 to each district. District 5 was the first to install them, and the other districts have already identified the locations where they will place theirs. The solar markers are manufactured by an Idaho company. If they perform well and show a good return on investment, you may be seeing them in more locations across the state. Transportation technician Dave Petersdorf in District 5 said he's already receiving calls from the public saying they like the new markers. As I announced in my January board report, one of ITD's 4 focus areas for 2018 is employee safety. It is actually our most important focus area, and for good reason. Attention to safety is one thing that can make the difference between an ITD employee going home after work healthy and happy or not making it home at all. 2 weeks ago, we lost District 4 employee Matt Kime in a fatal crash on Highway 24. He was on duty at the time, driving an ITD vehicle. Matt was a diesel mechanic in the Shoshone shop and had worked for ITD for 17 years. He was a valuable employee, but more importantly, he was loved by family and friends alike. We are deeply saddened by his loss. All of us at ITD need to think about what we do at work every day and find ways to improve our safety and the safety of those around us. Regardless of where they work and what they do, working safe is the most important thing ITD employees can do in their jobs. And I would like to take this moment to share a message from WASHTO President Mike Tooley and 3 District 6 employees.
Hello, I'm Mike Tooley, 2017 WashDO President. Right now, there are over 100 names on the WashDO Memorial website, names that represent friends and co-workers who left home in the morning but never returned at night. You're about to hear the story of somebody you may know who was either killed in the line of duty or had a near miss. Take the lessons learned to heart. Make it safe, make it home.
That day I was in the road grader, and it was just me and one other coworker, and we were just out there, and he was just dumping in front of me, and then I was just smoothing out the material behind him.
I just got a fresh load of material, seemed to be a little bit wet. I went up and started dumping my load, and for some reason, just out of the blue, the truck laid over on its side. I was doing probably 2-3 miles an hour.
The bed just started tipping, and then the whole cab just followed right behind it and just slammed it to the ground.
Took the front window out, took the side window out, ended up breaking 7 ribs, puncturing a lung. The ambulance came, picked me up, brought me to Idaho Falls. They had to do surgery. I was out of work for a while.
The one thing is just how something we've done so routine for so long, how you need to think of the dangers that can happen. Even though it's something you do all the time, that possibly it's not always the right way of doing it just because you've been taught that way or done it that way.
From this accident forward, we're going to move with a different procedure. We're not going to have the dump truck moving while it's dumping. We're also going to use belly dumps that we have available at our disposal. So yeah, we're just going to do a different procedure that's a lot more safer now.
I think we all need to watch each other's back, because there might be things that I do that maybe one of my coworkers has more experience or something that sees I'm not quite doing that safely, and just to kind of watch out for each other. Everybody
wants to come home at night. Everybody wants to. And you want to see all your co-workers come home at night. That's very important to me, and I know it's very important to ITD.
I applaud Sheldon and Dan for having the courage to share their story with you, and for helping to develop procedures to make sure it never happens again at ITD. It was a scary moment for both of them, and it is one that we can all learn from. But accidents like this are not the kind of stories we want to share in the future. That is why, when I outlined the 4 key initiatives for 2018, the very first initiative focused on employee safety. At ITD, we have done a good job of focusing on driver safety. However, your safety begins right here where you work. I want each of you to go home at night in the same condition as when you arrived. That is one of the most important things you can do to help us achieve our vision of becoming the best transportation department in the country. We will be sharing this with all ITD employees. Mike Tooley has asked each of the 18 WashDO states to make a similar video for their employees. WashDO will then take stories from several of the individual videos and combine them into one larger video to share with the entire region. The goal is to reduce employee fatalities to 0 for all 18 Western states and never again have to announce the names of fallen workers at the annual WashDO conference. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, this concludes my director's report for April.